We have all become very familiar with rapid antigen tests throughout the pandemic. A new range of rats that can detect both flu, RSV as well as COVID have now been given the green light from Australia's medical regulator. Joining us now with more on this development is Paul Griffin, Associate Professor and Director of Infectious Diseases at the Mater Health Services. Paul, appreciate your time. Thank you. So do you think these will become a staple item in our home medicine cabinets? Are these three-pronged tests already available to purchase? Do you expect we'll have a good supply of them here in Australia as we head into winter?
Well, I think this is a really significant development. I mean, we saw our reliance on rapid antigen tests for COVID and how important a part they played in our strategy. What we know now, though, is we're not just contending with COVID. Our usual respiratory viruses and, importantly, the flu and RSV are back. And what we really don't want is people to get a negative rapid antigen test for COVID and assume they don't have a significant infectious disease. And so these tests by, for example, this one, Touch Biotechnology, it's an Australian company. So hopefully distribution and issues with supply won't be an issue no matter what happens from here. These tests can detect all three quickly and accurately. And it also means that we have access to therapies for both COVID and the flu, so we can find the infection more quickly and hopefully link people to therapies as well, but also give them the right advice, because there are some subtle differences with these three infections, all of which are very significant, but the advice can be different. So this way we can readily find them as well. So I think this is a very significant development, and these sort of combination tests are going to be something that we are going to use as a big part of our strategy, particularly in winter moving forward.
So, Paul, how accurate are these new tests? And generally, have we seen the accuracy of rats improve over the years? I think we've all come across what seem to be dodgy rat tests over the pandemic years. Some brands certainly seem to be better than others.
Yeah, that's a really important point. We know that particularly the sensitivity can be quite different with the different rapid antigen tests, and the TGA do grade them. I mean, this one that we're talking about from Touch Biotechnology is very accurate. It's supposed to be an accuracy of 98%. Sensitivity is very good as well. Maybe not quite as good as a laboratory-based PCR test, but we know they're more challenging to get these days. You often need to go and see a doctor, get a referral, then go and get that test somewhere. And again, if we talk about access to therapies, time is really critical. So finding out what you've got more quickly and then trying to get onto the right therapy can make a big difference. So, laboratory-based PCR testing will also have a role. We can find more viruses with those tests, but these sort of rapid antigen tests where we can find these three viruses will also be a really big part of our strategy.
Okay, so now that rats are available combining flu and COVID and RSV testing, how long until we see vaccinations roll COVID and flu jabs into the one needle? Is that too far off?
It's not really. We've done some excellent clinical trials, and some of those have actually been done in Australia, and they're looking really promising. It's thought that probably not next season, but maybe the season after. So for our 2025 flu season, there may well be a combination flu and COVID. And we've had an RSV vaccine approved for the first time in Europe and the US in the past few weeks. So it might be next year we have a separate RSV vaccine, and then maybe the year after a combination one. So, while obviously COVID's had a devastating impact and there's been many negatives, maybe the additional development of these rapid tests as well as combination vaccines might be a little bit of a silver lining to what we've been through recently.
And Paul, just how is the flu season tracking so far? We were warned that it was an earlier start than usual. What sort of winter do you think we're in for on that front?
It's really hard to predict. I mean, at the best of times, the flu is hard to predict, but changing what we see with flu due to our COVID strategies and having no flu for 2 years, it's really hard to know how that's going to impact this season. What we do know, though, is we've seen a significant number of cases already. So over 30,000 reported flu cases this year. And that's of those that we know. There's obviously a lot that we don't. And that's very similar to what we saw in 2019, where over that flu season, we saw over 300,000 flu cases for that year. So that's a lot for us to deal with when it's on its own. But this year, we're also going to have to contend with COVID at the same time. So that's why we really need people to understand that COVID hasn't gone away. We've got great vaccines, great therapies there. The flu is back, and we really need to stress the importance of getting vaccinated for that, and also finding out about RSV so we can give people the right advice with these combination tests is also going to be really important.
Appreciate your insights, Paul. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.